Hello, welcome to Angry Polly's Month 1 live session number 4. So I want to go over a couple of things, just some I don't know, house cleaning or whatnot, just to make sure that everybody kind of knows best place to go for information. So number 1, I have obviously here on Twitch a live feed. If you don't have time to watch it, or for some reason it's an inconvenient time for you, I also, let's see, let me find my stuff. Alright, I also have a Facebook page. So this is Angry Polly's Facebook, blah blah blah, I don't know, some long feed. If you have not liked it and are not following, it's a good place to kind of get some information. I'm posting kind of when I'm going live. I'm posting things about videos, extra videos, stuff like that. So good place to go. Follow me. It's all super fantastic. I'm going to put that in the live, in this chat room. Also, where you can go to find the videos that I'm recording. I have an Angry Polly's YouTube. So everything that is archived there will be found on this channel. ZBrush isn't on your list of software, by the way. I should update that. So this is the YouTube channel. You can find me, I'm sure, just by searching Angry Polly's, and you'll see there's each of the videos that I've streamed live will be there. Is this month 1? This is, sorry, there's also a chat going on and I'm responding to somebody there as well. This is one of the cool things about this medium, and it's why I really want to push this as well, is that you guys can log on and you can chat with me and I will talk to you while I'm working. You can ask questions and I'm more than happy to answer them. This is what makes this different than any other tutorial that you might sign up for and that you will pay good money for. Plus, you also get me in green, and I'm going like Back to the Future here, like turning invisible like Marty McFly, and that's also super freaking awesome. So, check out the YouTube channel, subscribe to it. You'll get updates to videos that I'm posting. Every once in a while, I'm going to put some little extras and things like that as well, things that might be off topic, but maybe you'd be interested in. So 2 places to go to get information. The third, obviously, is if you haven't gone to Twitch TV, go to Twitch TV, sign up for a user account, and follow me, and then interact with me here on the stream. That's huge. I really can't emphasize that enough. If these times really aren't working well for people, please let me know. I will try to adjust as best as I can. I'd like to get as many people involved as possible and, you know, carry a conversation with you guys. It's not so much about me showing you this is exactly how, you know, to do everything, but really responding to, you know, to the artists and, you know, you guys out there. So let me know. That being said, I also would like to start and end each session with a Q&A. The Q&A doesn't have question and answer. That doesn't have to be specifically related to the topics that I'm covering. Some topics that you might want to ask about. How do I get a job in the industry? Would you look at my reel? How do I ask a girl out? I don't know. Not that I don't know how to do that. Maybe that's a topic you're interested in. But things like that. Feel free to ask. If you hit on a topic that I can't talk about, maybe you want to know something about Blur specifically and what we're working on, and I can't answer that question, I will kindly let you know that I can't answer that question. Otherwise, I'm happy to look at your work and spend a couple minutes kind of going over stuff. So, that said, if you are here, if you would like me to look at something and critique something, if you have a question not related to anything that I've presented, it can be whatever topic that you want that pertains to CG. Let's keep it you know, vaguely on topic within our industry. But if you have a question, please ask, and I'd love to, you know, hear from you guys. So, that being said, does anybody have a question? There is a lag here on Twitch, so when I ask a question, 60 seconds later, there's going to be a slow and steady response. Maybe. Or no response, because frequently you guys are such introverts and nobody says anything until I like get off the feed and then questions start. So ask now, because it's much more interesting for everybody else that's going to watch this, maybe if they're not here, to see the question or to hear the question that you didn't ask now. Another thing while I'm waiting to see if anybody has any questions, you'll notice that I now have kind of one of the reference images on the lower left hand side. So this is just so you guys can kind of see what I'm working on, and it's not to say that this is exactly going to be it. You're going to see I'm going to deviate pretty wildly from this. Not wildly, but I am going to deviate from it just because I'm making a piece that's for me, and it's, you know, I thought that this tree was cool, but we will kind of move in different directions. So that being said, this is, if it gets in the way, let me know. You guys in the chat room, if for some reason you can't see something I'm working on and that image is blocking you, let me know. I will move it out of the way or close it or just, you know, get rid of it. But just so it's up there. All right. So it's looking like nothing from anybody. All right, then no questions from the peanut gallery. I'm going to get rid of my talking head and my Marty McFly effect because of my green shirt. Alrighty. Okay, so when we last left off, I had just come into ZBrush, and one thing, you might not have noticed it, but I had collapsed a bunch of subtools and stuff like that before I exported, and my file that I had imported back into, get over here, you little bastard, it had all of this geo collapsed. So I corrected that once I had woken up in my time, and this file now has all of the geo and the tree in it as well. So just something, it's important to save, you know, often. Right. And then back in Max, we're looking at the exact same thing. So some things I'd like to cover tonight. Let me pull up. And we've talked about Megascans a little bit, right? Okay, so what is Megascans? Quixel Megascans. These guys, they're developing a crazy shader library. Well, what will be eventually a shader library. Let me maximize this. At the moment, it's a map library, but it's not just any maps. These are maps without lighting in them, with diffuse, or that being the diffuse map, or albedo, specular, glossiness. They are calibrated for PBR rendering, and that being useful for not only game engines, but also Arnold, V-Ray, what have you. They also have really awesome displacement maps. As you can see, the details in these guys are fantastic. So I'm going to sculpt a little bit tonight and do a little bit of ZBrush. I'm also going to tweak out my tree a little bit, add another root pass, start to look at the other branches, and I'm also going to show a little bit of my techniques with leaves. One of my favorite things about what these guys have been doing, I mean, obviously these are all awesome. There's some mud ones and stuff like that. Like, this is just freaking badass. Like, look at that. That's all just displacement, a single map. This is insanely awesome. Even these guys, like, that's just badass. This guy, awesome. So I'm going to use a couple of these this evening, or It might be 1. We'll see how far I get. But I'm definitely going to look at these leaves and start to try to pick out kind of what I'm going to be using. You'll see that they've got a wild assortment of stuff. Dead, live, half alive, mixture of the two. This is just a great resource. So thank you Quixel and Megascans for giving me access to this and letting me show this to you guys. It's a really just awesome treat and an awesome thing to use. So we're going to get into that and some of my techniques with those. On top of that, as I said, I'm going to add some stuff to this this tree and possibly sculpt some rocks. Now, this is kind of like a, it's always an ongoing process as we're working on these things, and one of the biggest things that you're going to see is that I started and I'm working on these rocks and I'm bashing them out, and as you remember, I kind of said, don't be too committed to it, because at some point, yes, I'm going to be committed to their positions, but the details could radically change. And as I start to add roots and things, a lot of these details are going to be covered up. And really what might become more important are kind of secondary rocks and other elements as opposed to these. Like, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add moss, I'm going to add all sorts of other stuff that is ultimately going to cover up a lot of these details. And they're going to cease to become as important as, they might have been if I was sculpting them as kind of one-off objects. So only spend time where you're actually, going to need it. You could make the baddest ass rock that, was ever made, but if I'm going to cover it with roots and moss and all sorts of shader work, it doesn't really matter. So the tree, one thing that you'll notice if we look at the reference, and one of the things I like about this tree, this kind of hard, it's like sucking in, and my tree kind of has a beer gut, and deal with your problems in the right application. And fighting this in GrowFX, it's probably not the best place to do it, whereas we can go into ZBrush and I can slim this guy up, put him on the slim fast diet in like 30 seconds with a move brush, and we're good to go. So use the right software for the job. Alright, so no more talkie, let's work. Alright, so first things first, I want to start to look at the roots, because I really want to have a better understanding of what's going on these rocks. Alright, I'm going to go into line mode, I'm going to turn manual update off, and it's going to get pissed at me for a second. Okay. And it's going to get re-pissed at me. I need to have the roots on, but I can make them not visible anymore. So you can come over here. This is one of the nice features here, is that you can turn them off and then they're not actually working, or you can make them not visible, in which case you don't see them and I can focus on, what I'm working on. But they are still, the children of them are still doing their jobs if you've got them turned on. Alright, so I'm going to create another level of distributors. So again, create path. I'm going to move this guy up to roots. Call it. I'm going to wait for it is what I'm going to do, because it's in charge. Roots, small, or something. Let's give it a capital S. Alright. And then this is going to be a distributor. It's going to be a path distributor. It's going to be a child of these guys. Child? I would make some Bill Cosby jokes, but I don't really think that anybody can laugh about Bill Cosby anymore. Although, I don't know, I don't follow the news. Maybe he got himself out of it, but... Right? Isn't he, like, in mega trouble? Okay, so... no, not trunk A. Now it's gonna think about it. Yeah, thanks. And I'm gonna delete that. Roots. All right, so these guys, they're sprightly. They look enthusiastic, but you will quelch that enthusiasm. Make myself laugh. All right, so now they're a little bit more worse for the wear. I am also going to, all right, so let's see, on our roots we had a step size of 2 inches. On these guys I'm also going to use a step size of 2 inches. And then you're going to see them kind of perk up a little bit. Oh, no, because, yes, because this is 1 inch and it's less. Yes. And I'm kind of actually okay with that. Alright, next thing, I'm just going to add a vector to these guys. And I just want to push them all down. Keep them down. And that's probably enough. And last but not least, I'm going to go over to my roots. I'm going to grab my object reaction. Why Max, not Maya? Do you know Houdini? Alright, so Max has better environment tools. So I'm typing that as it's probably the answer is coming through. And then, yes, I know Houdini. I am, if you don't know, I'm kind of like a, I don't know, I'm a bit of a mutt. So I am an effects artist at Blur. I use Houdini primarily, I don't know, most of the time. That is my kind of main effects package. But I also was an environment artist at Blur for about 9 months and worked on a number of shows doing that. And prior to that, had done environments and whatnot. Maya, you know, it's a great tool, but for what we do, especially at Blur, the tool set, it's just not fast. And that's really the biggest problem. So I want this object reaction. I mean, up until recently, it didn't even have like proper instancing tools. It's got its like little thing inside of it. Now carbon scatter is there and multi-scatter is now there. Do you have a studio in London? No, Blur is only LA. So, not to say that Maya can't do a lot of this stuff, but the turnarounds and things that we kind of work under and the level of kind of integration, and that's a big thing. If you look at a lot of our environments, you'll see, you know, the plants and the environment, they're all kind of like wed together and whatnot. I can hear you, by the way. Yes, I realized that. There's a delay, and that's why I type, and the delay bothers me. So I apologize if I type and talk. So sorry. All right. So these guys are much too long, and they're also all the same length, which sucks. But yeah, we will get into Houdini. I'm going to do a little bit of Houdini on this environment, specifically just for some effects and whatnot, just some additive stuff, just for the fun of it. The next month, though, that environment, that's going to be very, very heavy Houdini. Specifically, I think I'm going to do some lava. It's one of the things I'm thinking of, and a really kind of messed up environment. Build faster. So this is where you'll see, like, this stuff starts to really bog down once I start to add these details, and it's probably just overkill. I mean, if I mesh this, you're gonna see like most of these roots are completely covered in wow, most of the rocks are completely covered in roots. I graduate in June, product design. I did an advanced training at Escape Studios in London, kind of looking for a junior TD job in July. just so you know. Yeah, add you on LinkedIn. Yes, of course. That's a great question. Yeah, all of you guys, you know, feel free. I'm here for you. So whatever social medium you would like, please, as I said, you know, add on Facebook, follow on YouTube, add me on LinkedIn. That's all cool. All right, so these roots are freaking crazy. So I'm gonna bring their step size down. I want them to build faster, and I'm also going to bring one thing you can do, which is nice. You can just tell it cancel. I'm going to bring their density down as well, because they don't need to be so much. I want some sort of parent-child relationship here with the roots. I want some extra detail. Right, this is too. I just sculpted some stuff. This is too much only big stuff, but this is just like complete and total chaos, and we don't want that. It needs to be legible. Generally 0.1 in density will get you kind of nothing. And that's not that far off from what I'm looking for. Let's go 0.2. And once you hit cancel, a good thing to know is it's going to automatically check on this manual update for you, which is kind of fine. If you don't want to wait for it, you know, that's probably what you want. I'm going to kick up this max strength a little bit, maybe try to drag these guys down just a scotch. Also, for these guys, because they're kind of smaller, this step size, right, I kind of showed you guys this last lesson, but for anybody who's new and didn't see it, now I need to update. It's going to show the magnetic points, so you'll see this like point cloud that it creates on the surface. Alright, so that's good for something with coarser detail, but once we get into these like smaller objects, this like second tier of roots, maybe we want a little bit more detail. I'm going to uncheck this. It doesn't have to be much. I'm just going to say 2 and keep that the same, or 7. I don't know why I said 2. You know, because 2 and 7 are so similar. And let's update that. It's going. Better. That's probably going to be pretty good once we like add a mesh to it. All right, the other important thing about this second tier of roots is that previously we were using this meta mesh, and meta mesh is great for things that are really, really visible, but it's not advisable for things once they start to get smaller and smaller. In that case, I haven't gone over this yet, you've got the cylinder mesh. Okay, well, I did on one of the branches. We're going to go over it again like I'd never gone over it. This is going to be so much more thorough and better than the last time I went over it. See, I'm going to click that graph first. Alright, so as per usual, we're going to adjust the radius. We're going to adjust the radius with a curve, so towards the ends of the branch it's getting smaller. At the beginning of the branch it is wider. Very important. And I'm going to go into mesh mode, and I'm going to update. And it's going to think. But it's wicked speedy. Kind of. Come on. It's very seriously thinking about it. And wait for it. And all right. So now you can see here are some of these little guys, right? And that's kind of what I'm looking for, is just some little extra details coming off of there. And it's okay that they're not blended in with this, because once you texture it and you've got shadows and ambient occlusion and all this stuff, one, these guys are going to kind of fall off, and two, you're just not going to notice it. So let's turn this guy back on, because I think it's actually going to mesh faster with that. And I want just slightly more of these roots small. Density, let's bring it to 0.3. And let's update that. And we'll test my theory whether or not it builds faster with that trunk A added. And it slows down. Well, go. Go, baby. We'll see. All right, so while that's building, Megascans. All right, a couple of things, right? One, I want to start to think about shaders and textures and how I can quickly zoom through this and completely disorient you, because that's just awesome. So I need to start to think about, you know, gathering reference and what these little details are going to look like. Yeah, this stuff's cool. It's just this little clumpy shit, and that's the type of stuff that I'm kind of looking for on this, and maybe even more. I'm going to add a little bit more, and then we're going to talk about the other reference for this. 0.5 and let that build. All right, so this image. Now this is the thing, right? Concept work. We get a lot of concept paintings in what we do, and concept paintings are great. They're beautiful, but they don't tell the whole story. And specifically, what they're not telling the whole story about is, what kind of tree is this? There's, you know, this is pretty freaking vague. What's the bark? What types of leaves? These rocks, like, they basically have no texture on them. This is just kind of clone stamped around, again, clone stamped around. And it's great. It implies and it tells a story to me. But as an artist, as an environment artist, there are a lot of holes here that I need to kind of fill in. You know, the best concept painters, they just leave gaps, large gaps. You could drive trucks through them. And it says, you know, to no fault of their own. That's their job. It's what they're doing. And the stuff is super informative. This is an amazing piece of concept work. So it leaves me a lot of room to kind of tell a story, make a story about it. But it doesn't answer a lot of questions and kind of give me a lot of guidelines as far as where I should go from here. So we need to think about what type of tree is this. Now, it's some sort of mythical tree, but it's not a fucking unicorn. So, and even a unicorn, like, we have reference for horns and things like that. It's a tree, and we have lots of trees that we can gather via Google's for, you know, reference and things that could be pertinent. So, thinking about that, let's see. I think there's an oak, southern oak, Southern California, southern oak tree, southern tree leaves. I love the shit that like comes up in your Google search. It's like, what? You think I want what? Google, you know me so well. Your Twitter link is broken. Sorry to disturb. Oh, well, that sucks. I suck at Twitter. Alright, I'll need to fix that. Let's see. I'll go dig it up. I'll post it up on the Facebook site, so if you hit me up on Facebook, I'll post it up there, and then I'll fix that. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so this is one kind of tree. No, I don't want your weird ass. This image is kind of small, but things that I like are all of the foliage on it, right? And this is pretty consistent with this type of shit, right? It's got this, like, what is that stuff called? Kudzu, or, I mean, it could be an ivy, but generally, I think down south, it's like kudzu is kind of like taken over. So it's got that crap on it. And that's cool. But this doesn't really tell us anything more about the bark on this thing than that does. So I'm going to change my search. Nope. Size. Large. And let's see if we can find something. And all of this is kind of looking much closer. Man. It's like everything but what I want. Okay, so this is actually pretty consistent with an oak. Just a normal old oak tree. The bark pattern is slightly larger, but nothing too crazy. And, you know, there's some cool details here. And this is why, you know, going out and digging up, you know, good reference is just awesome. Like, these details, this type of stuff, it's actually interesting to see. There's not a bunch of, like, little smaller guys. It's really these big dudes kind of settle, and then we've got, you know, dead leaves and just kind of dead stuff around the base, and then some moss. Whereas, like, you know, this has some, like, little twiggy stuff, and I'm gonna stay with that because I'm gonna kind of incorporate that in some other places. But I think that, you know, looking at reality and looking at a painting, there's a lot left, you know, for us to paint in and or detail in. So this guy is a great piece of reference, and we're going to add him to our reference catalog. And so this is thinking about, you know, this tree, and I'm gonna kind of, normally I kind of collect a lot of reference in the beginning, and I'm looking to, I kind of wanted to streamline this a little bit for you guys, but not to say that I still don't think about the reference. I'm just going to kind of, I'm just going to collect it as I go. But you definitely, as a friend and I were talking today, you're only as good as your reference, and, you know, this stuff is very important. Constantly referring to it, because what we don't want is to get through the end of this, and while this is a great painting, we don't want our work to look like this. That's just not, it's just not enough. It's not there. Great story, not enough detail. Alright, so that's kind of the, nope, I'm not done with that. This is telling me some stories about the bark and some cool details on this tree. Now, there's more to it. What I don't know are the leaves on these guys. And so, Google's, it's just super freaking awesome. Alright, here we go. Something more like this. And because this is fantastical and whatnot, I'm not really gonna care a whole ton about whether or not the leaf species is completely accurate. But I do want it to have a kind of shape, and it's important to have variety in the shapes of your plants. Sometimes, you know, you can kind of take liberties, and we all take liberties, and that's fine, but you definitely want to look for a reference for them. One, because look at how waxy this guy is. You know, so we want to think about that as we're doing this. Different leaves have different qualities to them, and you know, this guy is a great example. I don't read Latin. Southern red oak. Reference. I don't want it as a Chrome link. So maybe that could be one leaf, or the idea of a leaf. Because it might be that I just don't really find one kind of like that I like. But these guys are all very interesting and kind of waxy and dead. Alright, and that brings me then to this guy. Alright, so back to the Megascans library. That's oak, a normal oak. And they've got a ton of different leaves in here. This could start to maybe kind of meet what we're looking for. And because this is kind of the best library that I've got to work from, I could go to CG Textures and I might find the leaf that I'm looking for. A lot of times their leaf library is, or like the shape, the maps that they have captured, they're okay. They don't have a ton. This is mostly like dead dudes. So I'm kind of looking around, seeing this. Actually, this looks promising. And these guys are cool because they've got all sorts of like chunks taken out. This is the shit that you just don't normally get, and this adds just so much realism to your stuff when you're using just kind of like a single alpha map. And you'll see, I'm going to kind of show you what I would do with this and what the guys over at Quixel would recommend that you do with this. This is a paid resource. It will be, yeah. These are all dead. Dead. But one thing to note is that the guys at Quixel and we've had some discussions, and in the near future we're going to be working out some sort of agreement, or we're not quite sure how it's going to work yet for everybody, but people that are participating in the course and working and doing things, you guys will be able to kind of get some maps and work with this stuff in a way that, you know, maybe other people aren't being able to access. So like maps that I'm directly using, I can kind of give those over to you guys, and you can work with this stuff as well. So it's not going to be the entire library. I'm not going to just like download everything and hand it over. But if I'm kind of like today, I'm going to work on this leaf shader, and I can ask them, like, is it okay for me to hand over this this map? Yes, digital swag. Basically, yes. So, you know, keep that in mind. I'm not trying to show you something that it's like, this is what I would do and you don't get to fucking do this, because that sucks. I would like you to have access to the same stuff that I have access to. Alright, so I kind of like this guy. For a couple of reasons, because one, like a lot of leaves on that plant are dead, and two, because they're kind of in the same family. So I'm going to take this to my Megascans folder. What is this guy called? Leaf scan. Very informative. So this is their beta, and there's still some things to be worked out as far as labeling and whatnot, and they know that, and they're doing it. Leaf for stream is what I'm going to call it. All right. So now let's look at what we've got. So this is what you saw, right? And then this is the diffuse map. And so this is no lighting. No, it's fine. I can use Creative Commons leaves. I was just asking for the resource to bookmark. You can't bookmark it at the moment because it's a private link, but you can bookmark the Megascans site. But as I said, you guys will get to kind of work with some of the files that I'm working with. But yeah, of course, you can always do a Creative Commons one. The only difference being is some of the shader stuff I'm going to do is going to be different because these are PBR calibrated, and they have translucency maps, as I'm going to show you, kind of created with them, and displacement maps. So you'll see this is the diffuse, no lighting, right? This is the displacement map for these guys. The gloss blend, normal map for extra detail, specular, translucency map. So we would use this in a V-Ray two-sided material, and a transparency map. And then back to the beginning. Now, what do we do with these? Right. So, first things first. Well, no. What's the resolution here? 1024. Oh, maybe I should have downloaded. No, 4K. All right. All right. So a cool technique with these, can make those. Yeah, you can certainly try. Actually, I have a friend that's doing stuff pretty similar to it. There's some technical hurdles to it, but yeah, it can absolutely be done. The big difference, though, getting the albedo with zero lighting involved is, you know, they have like a whole process down, but you can paint displacement maps and whatever. Like that's nothing crazy. All right, so rename this layer to useful, or that's where I'm ultimately going to put it. Leaf base. Well, I'm going to call this ENV leaf base. And let's organize this. Dick. And make this the current layer. And let's see, these guys are probably, how many are on that sheet? 4, they're probably all about like 4 inches, 24 inches, and then some. So we said like 36 by 36. Yes, 3 feet. Alright, and I just want a plane that is the same proportions. It doesn't have to be 4096 by 4096, but this is what I'm going to put my leaves on, right? And move this guy out of the way. And actually at this point it doesn't really matter if I'm using, because I just want to be able to visually see this stuff. Well, just so we get in the habit of it, you can kind of see. I'm just going to grab a V-Ray material. And, well, at this point, it doesn't really matter. Just grab it normal bitmap because I don't think the actual displace modifier is going to respect in the same way the V-Ray HDRI loader. And I want to grab this displacement map because what I want to do with this guy is wait. I really wanted to wait. Alright. Well, it's got to load a 4K map. I'm impatient. I am going to save, though. Oh, you're a fucking dick. No, I didn't want to render. It's doing everything I don't want to do. I don't understand. My Max is really an asshole. Gonna close. Gonna reopen. wait for it. It's going to be super awesome when it happens. Doobie doobie doo. So obviously on my tree I haven't built out the rest of the branches or any of that shit. But I'm making leaves, and that might seem a little premature, but what I'm going to show you is kind of the way I do the leaves and the way I've been doing them recently, and especially for something like this where it's kind of, there's very few branches down at the base of this thing. I'm not really concerned with a poly count here, so I'm gonna use shape instances instead of a procedural leaf, which goes against what I've normally done in the past, but it's actually wicked fucking fast, and I've found it to be highly successful. So I've got my plane, and I've got my material editor that's going to take forever to load a 4K texture. And really what I want is 24 and 24. I need a lot of faces on this guy. I'm gonna throw a turbo smooth on him as well. Amp him up. He's psyched. And then I'm gonna put a displacement modifier on this. This is not a V-Ray displace, this is just a standard displace. So this will actually displace the geo in viewport. And this is cool, this is important. And I'm just gonna copy this displacement map. So I'm going to use the displacement map of this stuff. Yeah. Well. Here. And I'm going to make the strength, I don't know, just guess at something, 3 inches. And you can see they're like starting to poke up. Maybe make it 6 inches. So now we're getting some like nice, I'm just gonna hide this, so isolate this. So you can see we're getting some cool like details from these leaves, and all of this stuff is really going to help once you like build your your high-res leaves and whatnot for the tree. These little contour shifts, they're gonna make a big difference in the reflection and everything. So I'm gonna push this just a little bit more. Doesn't really matter with something like this if it's luminance centered or not. And I'm getting some funky stuff over there. I'm gonna go back down to 6 inches because really ultimately we can add like bends and all sorts of stuff to this. All right, and instead of this, I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna grab a V-Ray HDRI loader. And yes, I realize I'm not loading an HDRI. I am, however, loading this 4K JPEG, which is going to take a minute to think about. And I am not inverse. I want it sRGB at 1. This is important if you're working in this workflow. This workflow being, if you have not watched the other lessons, gamma. So I have enabled a 2.2 effect color and whatnot. So if you don't want all of your shit to be washed out, you're going to want to enable that. For the moment, I'm going to leave my blur amount the way it is. I'm going to apply this to my plane, and I'm going to preview that map. Okay, so now we can see these leaves, as they're affected by the displacement map. The next thing to do is Adam has arrived. The next thing to do is we're going to cut them out, which is tedious, and I'm going to use these leaves for a lot of things. Now, what am I going to use these leaves for, you ask? Okay. I'm going to use them scattered around on the ground. All those dead guys, right? This is the awesome thing about this. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 dead guys, and then I've got these guys which are almost dying but not quite dead, and I might scatter these as the base and then scatter a couple of these up on top after the fact. But they're really going to help with some detail. Now, why am I going to do that? Well, because my reference and some of the images that I've started to gather, I mean, this is some like manicured house. It's not totally manicured, but all this stuff, this is dead shit. And dead stuff is very important to add. So those little details, and even, you know, for some of these leaves, all this stuff, and maybe they're 2 different species, but ultimately the amount of, as I said, the amount of branches that are kind of down low, they're pretty minimal. So I would like a lot of variation, a lot of color change, and good detail out of the leaves that I am going to spend the time chopping out. So it's kind of a one-time thing that sucks to do, but it's important. And I'm going to... Where'd you go? Show... No. Show selected as edge. No, I don't want you to show up edged. God damn it. I don't know why I always forget this. Show frozen as gray. Where'd you go? I feel like they move this shit all the time. Oh yeah, it's in configure. Heh. Display selected with edge faces. There we go. Yes, thank you, Jerry. Jerry always with the assist. Like, I always, like, motherfucker. Alright, and let's throw an edit poly up on top of that. And first I'm just going to real quick, let's see. Grab these guys. And detach. So I don't want them to be an element, I don't want them to be a clone, I want them to be alone. I just realized my download is faster, thanks. Alright. So I'll just chop these guys out pretty loose. Detach. 'Cause each one of these is going to be a leaf. A piece of geo. And I can clean them up after the fact. But the other thing that's nice is that the Quixel Megascans guys, they've provided some very nice alphas for us. So without doing very much work after the fact, I can just kind of set an alpha on it and no worries. Now, it's certainly better to get it as close as possible, but this is one of those things where you kind of have to weigh your time to complete something and what would be the most pristine, perfect way. And if you only have, 4 weeks to do this, well, you kind of have to leave pristine behind. So I'm going to be a little bit hacky at this stuff, which kind of generally always am. It's important still though when you're doing this, you know, if you're being kind of a hack, stay organized because your colleagues will really appreciate it. That cutout sucked. Cutting out leaves, so much fun. You guys didn't think you were in for so much excitement as leaf chopping. using a leaf blower in my front yard is more exciting. Although I don't have a yard anymore. I live in LA. We don't have yards. Alright, so at this point, should be able to hide this guy. Yes. And now I've got a bunch of leaves. And they've got some extra bits and remnants of shit, but the alpha is nice and clean, and it's going to get rid of that crap. So I'm just going to select this guy again. And I'm going to save. Vincent LaCour. Yes, thank you for the assist as well. One thing you'll definitely see is I forget all sorts of shit. You can't possibly remember everything. You can't possibly like always have it in the front of your mind. Only a few actors got yards. Yes, for fucking sure. I would like to have a yard again. It'd be super fantastic. I think I got rid of my onion. Let's bring it back. Doobie-doobie-doo. Alright, so now we've got, let's make sure that my leaves are on my leaf layer. Yes. That's good. Alright. Bring the material editor back. So, a couple of things. Leaf front. This is what's different about the Quixel Megascan stuff, alright? So I've got this HDRI loader. I'm loading it in. Type sRGB inverse gamma of 1. So I'm not applying an sRGB gamma, okay? It's really important. And just so you see, if you leave it like this, all your shit's gammaed and bad, okay? You don't want that. You want sRGB. And look, all is happy in the world. Okay, so this is be respectful of your team. This is your diffuse leaf. Because I don't know about you, but at Blur, you start something and you frequently end up handing it off to somebody else. And if they can't fucking find, what you were doing and make sense of anything, it really is not fun for them. Alright, the other thing that's big with the Quixel stuff, your reflection should be at basically 100%. Now, we don't ever use 100%. We're going to use something like 245. We're going to kind of dial it back. You don't want values of 1 because V-Ray doesn't really know what to do with values of absolute 1. It's also not complete. It's not realistic to have anything that is a value of absolute 1. So you want to take this, bring it down 245, 240, 235. Whatever floats your boat, whatever's going to get you the look that you're going for. But do not leave it at 255. The next thing, I'm going to copy my map. I'm not going to instance it. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to get the glossiness. Where is the glossy blend map for this? It's going to take a second. And you'll see this map, it doesn't appear to be super exciting. If I can zoom in on it. But you'll see it's got lots and lots of little details and stuff. Okay, and this is going to define the glossiness of my reflection. And that's going to be at 1, and I'm just going to read that guy in. Going to read him in straight, none. Also, very important, he gets no color space. He's a reflection map, or glossiness map. It gets none. Showing result. So you'll see, like, that looks a little, you're like, meh. I'm not going to tweak that. I'm going to keep Fresnel on. And then I'm going to convert this material into a V-Ray two-sided material. I'm going to keep the old. I'm going to call this leaf tree. And I'm going to preface it with an ENV so I can find environment materials. You know, if you have like props and characters and environment stuff, you want to be able to find environment materials versus prop material or whatever. I'm going to leave this, my leaf front, and I'm going to create another map for my translucency here, V-Ray HDRI. Go out, and I'm going to grab this guy, and you can see this is the leaf translucency map. Now this is different than what you might have seen, like, you know, Peter Guthrie's got some really great tutorials on leaves. If you haven't checked them out, what I'm talking about, if you don't know who Peter Guthrie is, I highly recommend you go to his site and check out his stuff. Just an amazing educator in the field. This guy has like set the bar. Awesome stuff. So he's got this is old now at this point, yeah, 2009, but it still kind of sets the standard, and it's pretty general practice. But look through this and you can kind of see what he did at that point, and it's decent. It's good stuff. Like, this guy knows his shit. Peter Guthrie, if you're out there, love you. All right, so it's my shout out to Peter Guthrie. No, I want to go back. I want to go back. All right, so leaf trans. I'm gonna call this guy, right? And he should be also none in color space, because we've got Max managing that. No links allowed, Nightbot. Oh boy, it's clobber time. What are you looking to post? Post it on my Facebook. Yeah, sorry. Post it on the Facebook. I'll copy it over here. You done goofed. Yeah. Otherwise, you know, all I'm trying to avoid here is somebody like posting shit for like, look at my favorite porn site or whatever. I don't really want that, but certainly pertinent information I totally liked. It's okay, gonna put down Peter's link, never mind. Oh, I'll do it. Yeah, that's, sorry. I meant to, and I didn't. And, alright. So, that link, right, and the other links I talked about, which, did I not put them out there? And my moderators should be doing that. This guy. And this guy. None of them are porn sites. They're totally safe. They're not porn sites yet. That's all I can promise. For whatever reason, the effects department at Blur, we have a an influx of like spam from mail order brides in like Lithuania or something like that. It's pretty funny. I don't know why. Somehow I got from that, from the porn and whatever. I guess it's like spam shit, but it is quite the riot. Every morning, every single one of us has like, and it's always labeled like Dear Effects. It's not like to us. It's like as if Effects is a person. We are the entity known as Effects, and apparently the entity known as Effects really wants a mail order bride. I don't know. That's my random rant. Alright, we're gonna go to Photoshop. And the reason why is that at the moment, the normal maps here are a little bit bejacked. Unless Dan is here and can tell me otherwise. But as far as I know, they're still somewhat messed, and you've got to, instead of using a normal map, use a bump map on them and apply a high pass of 16 and save this guy as, I'm just going to save him as bump because I'm so creative. Well, that was an awkward segment. I'll fix it in post. I thought it was a funny segment. It brings me joy every morning. We all have, like, it'll get passed around, like, as if one of us ignored it, the other one somehow receives the email, like, we had denied this person. Don't let you guys all sign up for that porn. I really think, like, somebody signed up the effects department, or like because we have our own lists, so some disgruntled past effects artist signed up for a porn site with their Blur account, and that kind of led to this, and they thought it would be funny. And honestly, I think it's fucking hysterical, so it doesn't bother me. And it doesn't bother anybody else, because we're all pretty taking the fun out of everything, Jerry. Yes, he does. He has a tendency to do that. Leaf bump. Alright, so I'm going to go grab that bump map I just made. If I can find it. Boom, boom. Alright, leaf bump. Because I labeled it so well, I can easily find my stuff. Alright, so I've got a bump map, I've got a glossiness map, I've got a reflection of just about 1 on this guy, and I might want to tweak that slightly. I think I'm going to bring it down, but remember our reference. Alright, so this guy's, he's pretty glossy, and if we look at this map, this is not going to give me that. Now, things to consider. This is a pretty kind of deadish, dying-ish tree. It's not exactly in the peak of its life, right? So these shaders, or these colors, they definitely infer some sort of, like, this guy's, like, he's really fresh. So I don't necessarily want that, but on the other hand, I don't necessarily want, you know, kind of totally dead. So what you can do, maybe this map, and I haven't rendered yet, and what I'm going to do this, and I'm going to kind of leave it as a blank slate at the moment. But what you can do is you can add a color correct, or a output. Sorry, I don't want a color correct. I want an output because it gives me actual control. You can add this output node, and we keep the other as a submap. And for the moment, I'm going to leave this. I'm not going to touch anything because I haven't put these leaves on the tree or anything like that. I haven't seen it in view out of the renderer with lighting. But I'm kind of anticipating that this isn't going to be enough. Just simply because of the way it kind of is looking and reacting. And generally, I don't know why. I end up setting these guys at like 80. Yeah, see, now we start to see some like pachow, which is better. Yeah, these little details. This is the stuff that I want. Alright, now go back to a normal selection mode. Alright, so I've got all of them selected. I'm going to save. Oh, the other really important thing, I need an opacity map. Let's call this leaf opacity. Otherwise, my leaves will really suck. Wait for it. Alright, and important thing here, blur amount down to nothing. Follow me on Facebook. Oh, nice. Yes, the mods have... They're doing their job. How long does it take to render a plant with those leaves as instance geo? Well, we're gonna find out. It's not so bad. Like, I really thought it'd be way worse, and I was testing something, I don't know, maybe 2 weekends ago with this, and it was just about the same amount of speed. And in fact, you know, Akin, another friend of mine, he worked with me at Blur, he would argue that instance geo is actually, in fact, oftentimes better. Now, a lot of that depends on how you have it instanced and the mapping and things like that on it, but it can it can be quicker. Question: I use V-Ray in Max 2012 to bake the bump map to normal tangent map. Is it possible without V-Ray, just using Max? Maybe Max 2015. Oh, that was this map thing. To bake the bump map to a normal tangent map. There was an option for that, and I feel like in 2014 they got rid of it, and it actually created, we had this like fucking bug because V-Ray took it over and it used to be a plugin or something like that. I forget, I know what you're talking about, but I think it's like a V-Ray thing now. What the fuck was it called? Let me see. Man, I really feel like it's like an extra map. I know what you're talking about. But it did change 2012 to 2014. Topic for what? V-Ray bump to normal. Yeah. But it's weird, I'm not seeing it. And it used to, that's what it used to be called. That was its old name. And that thing was like a plague. But I forget what the new one's called. Or they got rid of it and they integrated its features in something. Color to bump, I think, has it now. I forget. I don't use that type of stuff all that often. So, I know it was like in a couple of our older shaders. If you have Photoshop, you can also generate. Yeah, of course. You can do that with the free like NVIDIA plugin. You can get that and from a bump generate a normal and whatnot. But it's important that you know, when you're working with normal maps, a lot of people like think that their normal maps aren't working right. And really what's going on is that you're not working in proper gamma space. It's not that your normal maps aren't working right. You're gammaing 2.2, and so let me show you a difference. Let me just copy this guy over to my fog color. I'm not using it, but so I've got my leaf bump here, and I'm just going to turn this guy off. Let me actually go and cut this guy. All right. So let's say I had a normal bump, okay? And I'm going to add a V-Ray HDRI loader. If I can remember my alphabet. I'm going to grab this guy. And the important thing here is that you aren't doing any gamma correction to it. You're bringing this guy in at 1. And if for some reason, if you're in a bitmap loader, let's just copy this guy up here. This is the reason why I would advocate using a V-Ray HDRI loader as opposed to a bitmap. Especially in a studio context. Nope. Alright. For stream. Alright, so we grab this guy, and you're going to notice he's going to do an automatic, which is recommended. And you can see his colors. His colors are a lot different looking than this guy. Like, if you can see this and see this, this is correct. This is wrong. Okay? And if you're not using a V-Ray HDRI loader, the only way that you can override this is here, at the moment that you bring it in, and you want to override it at 1. But nobody else knows that you overrode it. And that's a problem. To me, that's a problem. In a large studio environment, that you can't see somebody's work. It's like, you know, your math teacher always told you, like, show me your work. And it's the same type of thing here. You've got to go in here and select to be able to see that this person overrode that map. So that's one thing, is like, oftentimes you think your shit's not working correct, but it's not actually that it's not working correct. It's just you're fucking doing it wrong. There doesn't have to be any fucking about it. It's, you know, you just did it wrong. And that's okay. We all do shit wrong. Alright, leaf bump. So that's really important. None of your bumps will be correct if you don't do that. If there's any questions about that, let me know. I'm going to save. Okay, so each of these guys has these maps. I'm going to copy them over. Ultimately, what we're going to do is some of them I'm going to keep, and, well, really all of them, first and foremost, you'll see, like, their pivots are all at the center of the old object. Now that's going to suck, because when I go to instance them onto the tree, it's going to displace them all by that amount. So I need to manually reset the pivots of every single one of these these leaves. So before I copy it, I'm going to do that. Thanks to Meg, you can bake the bump, and the normal's also a long time not saw in Mudbox. Yeah, you could do that. That NVIDIA plugin though will do it really well. I haven't used that thing in so long. It's I don't know. I don't really use bumps a whole lot, because we really use displacements most of the time. Yeah, the plugin. Yeah, or you know, the Quixel guys, if you want, their suite is like, I don't know, it was on sale at Christmas time. That's when I got it, and it was like $70 or something like that. And we could talk about that. They've got a Indo or whatnot, and that's like a whole normal map tool, and it's pretty badass. So that's something too. I can talk with those guys, and we can see about maybe, I don't know, getting a discount for you guys or something. I don't know. It has normal filter now. It's under 3D filter. Very good. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, so these guys, all their pivots are screwed. And I'm just going to go in a top view so I can see. Alright, so why am I doing this? As I said, when I go to instance them as instance geo in GrowFX, if their pivot, like if I select this guy, is here, this is where it's going to think the leaf base is, and that's not right. Each one of them needs to be kind of readjusted. I don't know why I keep like closing it, and I can just do this all in one. So again, you know, this is kind of tedious stuff, but it's the patience to do these little things, these little details. They are going to make big impacts on your image. I advocate cutting corners. Absolutely. But, you know, cut them when you can. You gotta be smart about it. And really, I mean, this has taken me all of like 60 seconds or something like that. You could hardly say like, oh, it just wasn't worth it to move those pivots. Oh, too much work. It's just not a big fucking deal. Alright, so now what I want to do, fuck off. Alright. I might just add a couple of bends. And you don't have to do this to every single one. Let's grab it. No. I really hate the bend modifier. That's like not doing shit for me. That might be okay. It can be pretty exaggerated. Like, it doesn't have to be... I mean, in order to tell, like, the story here between this leaf and this leaf, you need to have big differences. You know, that's... Like, if you are a musician, you would know, like, you'll kind of get the idea that, you know, to play, like, pianissimo, very quiet, and fortissimo, those are wide gamuts, but if you have to tell the story along like a single phrase or a single line of music, to get from piano to get to fortissimo, you have to play so much quieter and so much louder, whereas if it was like you're just kind of playing quietly and playing loudly, it's the same type of shit. You have to really kind of accentuate these things to get them to kind of draw out and get you what you want and get an impact out of them. Otherwise, you're just kind of throwing shit at it for nothing. There we go. That's good. That's what I'm working on. What an amazing accent that was. Fuck off. And I just kind of want to crumble some of these guys. Doesn't have to be all of them, and I'm going to delete the ones that I don't do this to. I suppose I could copy, but then it just means I'll get lazy and they'll all be the same fucking thing. So sometimes I try not to copy. Yeah, that's cool. Just a couple of crumbly guys. And then I want these guys. No. Obviously, it's not going to work because their pivots are in two totally different locations. Center though to move. That really sucks. Don't particularly like you. Yeah, that's okay. That'll work. And again, doesn't have to be every single one. Alright, and save. Alright, so now I've got a whole bunch of leafy guys, right? Now, I'm not exactly prepared to use them yet. Why? Why? Well, because I have no branches. Alright, so let's update this tree. Alright, so we have roots, we have a trunk, we've got another trunk, and yet another trunk. I don't know why I didn't turn manual. I should have turned all that shit on, and then let's learn from our lessons. Alright. And at this point, I'm gonna turn off those other roots because they're just slowing my shit down. That calculation to do all of this, it takes time. And what I want to focus on are the branches that I'm going to put onto this tree. So this is where turn these guys off, and let's just turn that stuff off too. And update. You'll notice, like, boom, like, what the fuck happened? Stuff changed. And that's one thing that sucks. So I have to keep these roots on. These guys I can turn off. They're not going to bother anything. But I've got to keep these roots on. They impact their parent. Alright, so now I need some branches. Some, like, small minor branches that I can start to put, like, twigs and other little guys on that are going to have they're going to have leaves. Now, again, if we look at our, reference image and what we're working with, there's not a lot out here, there's not a lot out here, there's some kind of like in the center here, and these are like small young things, and then it's vines and whatnot. So keeping that in mind while we work. Alright, let's turn off, which is branch B and branch C. Alright, so those guys, let's just start to work with, well, and even maybe branch A. I might add some branches directly to the trunk, some like small guys. And I'm going to start with them on the trunk, and then maybe we'll copy them and tweak their settings to put them on the branch, all the subsidiary branches. Subsidiaries, I love it. It's like some sort of freaking corporate thing that it's a conglomerate of branches, and they are releasing an IPO very soon. Alright. So, branches. O2, A. My very clever naming structure. And I'm going to put this on trunk A. And then we'll have the usual, lots of perky little guys. And this is where we come in, and the range parameters we're going to say, I don't know, probably like 20% to start. Even more, 30. It's hard to tell from the camera, but yeah, that's looking about right. And like 0.2 on the density. Yeah, that's looking probably correct. So I'm looking at the camera and then also looking here, because that's important. This guy, he sucks. This guy, he sucks. And we'll just delete them. 3. Maybe even 35. Alright. Meh. Maybe lower. .2. We don't want a lot of them. It's just a small, you know, like a smattering of them. All right, and then random. And let's tweak their step size. 2 inches. And 2 inches. And this just gives them a little bit of like shape to them. They don't have to all be like some crazy old witch tree or something like that. So, all right. And I want to erase some of these guys. These guys are visually confusing. Hopefully you're getting what I'm meaning, but if we're trying to establish, like, you know, some dominance here, and we're going to put some figures in here and whatnot, to have all these other like secondary branches coming out competing visually with what's going on down here it's gonna be really bad. So we don't want them. These two guys specifically are just like, I really don't like them. Fucker, go away. Alright, so we've gotten rid of those two guys. These guys are pretty similar, but I might leave them for the moment. And save, because I'm neurotic. Alright, so Jerry says, I had issues with the randomize modifier actually offsetting the branches off the parents. Is that normal, or am I missing a checkbox somewhere? That is highly not normal. Sorry, not randomized, but noise. Really? I haven't seen that. Can you send me a file? Yeah, give me a file with it. Let's look at it, because I haven't seen that, where the noise would do that. Normally, in order to get that effect, you would need to have some sort of like offset set here. But, you know, not to diminish your experience, but I haven't seen that. You had the same. What in the hell? Why is this the first time hearing of it? Now there's gonna be some pithy response. Yeah, I haven't had that problem yet, but I don't know. Let's continue going and maybe I'll get it. Let's add a noise. Noise. And that did nothing. Maybe you pushed it too far or something? I don't know. Yeah, man, I don't know, guys. Oh, god damn it! I meant for that to be in inches, not in feet. How long will the stream be? I was gonna kind of go for another half an hour, if that's cool with you guys. What do you feel like? I don't really want that noise there, by the way. I wanted to see if I could get the effect that you were getting, but yeah, I was kind of thinking half an hour. So I'm gonna copy that branch because I've got, as you'll see, I copied that to trunk A, but I've got trunk B, trunk C, I've got branch A, B, and C here as well. So I want this on some other stuff. So stream usually goes 2 hours. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that would put us at about 10:30. Well, my time. Yeah, I don't know what your time. And come on, baby. All right, so branches go to B, And I want to get rid of trunk A. And I want trunk B. Amazing. Yep, sure. Looks good. Same thing. Paste. Wait for it. Branches. O2. C. If I see right, I can watch it later on YouTube. Yes, that is true. Somebody post a link to the YouTube channel. Jerry or Adam, either one of you, please. Okay, so C is going to go to trunk C. It's really quite amazing. All right, so now we're starting to get these secondary branches. Can you two fight? That will be awesome. Wow, I just snorted. Alright, so these are the branches. And then I've got these other guys, and I'm going to turn them back on. So once we have these, plus these other little guys, now I'm going to add one more branch up on top. If any of you are Dr. Seuss fans, you will have read Pop on Top or Up on Pop or something like that. I have read many Dr. Seuss books, as I have 4 kids, and I am a Dr. Seuss aficionado, as it were. Sorry, but need to go. But thanks, stream. See you later, man. Have a good night, or morning, or day, or whatever the hell it is. So I know the Doctor quite well. All right, and I'm gonna add another distributor, and it's over here. Path. This guy's gonna go to multiples, and this is one of the nice things. Like once you get, I'm gonna call this branches. O3 small. So this can go to lots of them. So I'm going to add it to branches O1B, B, you know, all of these guys. O1B, O1, or O1A, O1B, O2A, O2B, and O2C. So we're going to have to kind of wait for it to build. And let's actually just put it on one first so we can get it in line. Well, let's leave it. Well, whatever. Give some chaos. They don't need to be so dense. 0.5. Yeah, all of it can be pretty minimal. You know, you don't want to go and just like overkill. All right, and 0.25. That's probably good. 4 feet. Dick. 4 feet. Alright. There we go. So we've got quite a few little branchy guys. Oh, well this would help. That'll make a big difference. I don't want them like 100% on everything. Now I can bring my density up a little bit. So just tweaking my range parameters so that it's like 30% up along the length of the path, right? So it's important to not get too far without thinking about the body. You rat bastard. Save. I don't know what happened to my menu up here. Need to update this thing and make it. I need to give myself the file menu back. This is really annoying. So what I was saying is it's important to not go too far in your spline generation and all of that without thinking of the mesh and the body of your tree. So we're going to go back and double back and start to look at some meshing stuff here as well, because what I don't want is like, yeah, in spline mode it looks perfect, but as a mesh, it sucks, you know. That's just bad. So we're gonna wait for Max to open because it's super awesome. Go, go, go. And it's gonna happen. All right. Nope, not you. I want you. And so not all of these have meshes at this point. These guys all have meshes. That's good. That's good. That guy's got a mesh. That guy. That guy. No. Alright, so this is an O2, so chances are, alright, so branch O2B, it's got a cylinder mesh. I'm just going to copy it and apply it to O2A, O2B, O2C, and O3 small. All very, very awesome names. Actually, and then we're gonna save as. I'm gonna version this guy up at this point. Why the fuck? Serious? Just hit the plus button. Don't be like Chad. Alright, let's mesh this. And wait for it. Let's see. Chad, will you offer some feedback on showreels when you have time or at the end of the stream? Mine is not ready, but out of curiosity. Yes, of course. I am more than happy to do that. What the fuck? Yeah, this is not good. Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the kind of off-topic stuff. Anything, you know, whatever you want. If you have something that's like cool you want to show, or you'd like feedback on it, for sure. Yep. Alright, so we've gone like totally shitty here, and need to figure out like who are the culprits, right? I mean, visually, like, this is just a clusterfuck of just total bad. So no, I don't. Gonna have to wait. These guys like coming out at the camera, they kind of suck. Bring back the file. Oh yes, yes. Thanks, Jerry. That is. That's a good one. I wanna turn all of this off. Dude, thank you, manual. Alright, I'm gonna turn some shit off. and find what's creating this crap that I don't want. Because it might be that it's okay in some contexts, but it's not like, alright, maybe this is good, but this one sucks. You need to figure out what's creating what. So the best way is to reduce and get rid of some stuff. And it's thinking. It's pretty exciting watching that thing go. Alright, so it is not, well, this guy knows blowing ass. I don't like this branch here. So let's see if that's out of branch 01A. So the important lesson here is, you know, you kind of have to always be assessing and reassessing what you're doing, and it's like, yeah, I think that's working, and then no, it's not. So just delete. Don't be afraid to delete stuff. Alright, that's what I thought. Alright, so this is branch A. And let's select this guy and go to his direction modifiers. I'm going to add delete or an erase, sorry. Alright, and this guy, he's an asshole. And this one as well. And maybe this guy too. 2 1 1 3 1. I already picked you. Oh, it's because I have manual. There we go. Now it's thinking about it. Alright, so those two are gone. Now at this point, bring back branch B. Yes, okay. Branch C. Alright, so again, on branch C, like, these guys, you know, like, coming right at you, they're not so hot. So you're coming right at me. Still. Come on. And probably that guy too. Let's. Where is he spatially? Well. I don't know. I'll wait. I will withhold judgment on that one. Alright. Let's turn on some secondary guys. Alright. Fine. And fine. Okay. And add some small branches. Could it be easier to use ZBrush with fiber mesh to create branches and use the last branch's polygroups to distribute points and distribute V-Ray proxies with leaves on those points with forest pack? That's the thing. It could be. Well, yes and no. Speed-wise, it might be. The advantage here is that, like, all of these guys, the second I want to, like, blow a wind on them or throw something on them to make them animate, that's going to do it, and it's not going to be a problem. Once you take it into ZBrush and add fiber mesh, like, fiber mesh is fairly destructive. There's actually like a cool plugin for it that I'll try to dig it up. Actually, Jerry was one of the guys that found it for doing like plant stuff out of ZBrush, and it's more using their the Z spheres type stuff. But then creating the points out of it and using the proxies and the leaves, it's going to be kind of one note. The advantage here is you have like a hierarchical system to kind of create up on top and up on top again and again, and generating kind of branches. And at the beginning it's a little bit tedious, especially when you're doing something which is so art directed, but once you kind of know what you're looking for, ZBrush is not really the fastest place to do it, and it is for like little one-offs and whatnot, but for the vast majority of it where you really want to kind of have a lot of control and be able to animate them after the fact procedurally, this is the best option that I have found. If there is a better option out there, I'm all for it. Forest Pack, though, really limits you in its capability to like post animate and add winds and modifiers. The other thing is sometimes like we'll have plants that are reacting to a copter flying by or shit like that, where it's like the tree needs to blow in the wind because this big thing flies by. GrowFX is going to be great for that because you just take a wind, move past it, it animates, everything is hunky-dory. So yes, if I were doing a one-off, that might be the approach I might take, but you know, for what I'm doing, I'm gonna kind of withhold from that method. This guy's interesting. So obviously I've got some branch doing something that is not good, because I kind of want to show methods that are going to get you, they're going to get you there most of the time, not just like that 1% of the time this one fucking technique works. Yes, every so often that one technique will work. But if you kind of get a hang of it, this technique will work for you 90% of the time. Alright, let's find the purple guy. Well, we can just look at the colors here. There we go. Alright, and delete. Erase. Line. You go away. Yeah, Houdini L systems could be cool. Again, I'm going out into another application, whereas this is like if you are working in Max and generating environments in Max, and you want to kind of build onto a like closed in on an environment and kind of work in a single spot, this is the way to do it. And honestly, like the L systems, yeah, they're cool. I just haven't seen. I've seen a couple of things where like people are like, oh, this is like my animated system that I made out of Houdini, and it's decent. And maybe, I don't know, I don't want to like hover too much on GrowFX. It's like, it's one aspect of what I'm doing, but GrowFX could clobber the shit out of that stuff. Like, really, honestly. Not just because I like the app, but it's really got a ton of power. All of this shit is fully animatable and wireable, and you can go crazy town. I mean, just totally fucking crazy town here. So, L systems are cool, but this is way more potent if you're a Max user. If you're not, then shit, yeah, for sure, Houdini L systems would totally be cool. But thanks, that makes sense. Would SpeedTree work too? SpeedTree can work, but you know, as I've kind of talked about, SpeedTree, the problem is jumping out of Max, going to SpeedTree, and then you're limited by your cache resource that you can generate there. Whereas here, if you're working inside of Max, and a lot of this, you know, I really want to preface it with, if you are working in Max, you can generate, you know, procedural animations without having to cache all that stuff. But if you're not, then yes, SpeedTree can do a lot of the stuff that GrowFX can do. SpeedTree is also a very cool app. So, that being said, I'm going to randomize this. And I don't have a manual update, so that's fine. I'm going to set this to like 2.5 inches. Right, my update is set to manual. And I'm going to update because I think that'll probably be okay. I'm not looking for a ton of branches here. It's really pretty minimal. Yeah, I mean, as far as like Houdini stuff, I'm always the fan of, let's do it in Houdini. Like, if I can, I will. But there's, you know, there's a time and a place, and especially in a Mac shop, like we're very we're embedded in the way that we do, and getting things in and out and back and forth can often cause problems. I personally think GrowFX, yes, yeah, that's a good point that Jerry brings up, is that GrowFX is like, I think it's like $300 or something like that, and SpeedTree is thousands of dollars. Granted, it's a standalone app, so if you don't own Max or whatever, you know, that can play a part, but it's it is a way more affordable application. Yes. I will not repeat that. Alright, so this branch is kind of coming right at us again. You know, again, being cognizant of like where the camera is. And it's not that we have to have every little detail. Yeah, for sure. But I do want to keep this stuff in mind. Alright, so back to line. And what's the blues? So I'm just looking for that color. Guessing that was supposed to be that. Really? Come on. No. Is this one of my trunks? No kidding. No, it's not. What frickin' branch is that? Alright. You can't shift select them off. That's a bummer. That'd be a cool feature. That's what normal update on. Oh, that's trunk A? Really? Huh. I feel like something shifted. That happens. Sometimes you're working on something and shit will kind of change. Okay, well. Bring bring some guys back on and just selectively delete. I just want to get rid of some stuff here. That's hot. Pretty sure I'm seriously pissing something off. The tree gods are mad at me. Alright, so. Alright, good. Turn everything back on. Again, Jerry wants to kill the fun. Oh, motherfucker. Yeah, thank you. And it's building. Okay, so while we're waiting for this, I am going to wrap it up here soon, but you guys start... Jerry's crying. Oh, Jerry's crying. It's like Van Halen. You guys don't want me to sing. So, start thinking about questions that you might have, anything that you would like to show or info or what have you. Anything you got. Gotta go. See you guys next time. Later, Dave. Have a good night. Okay, so still, the frickin' branch is pissing me off. I think it's this guy. Let's see. Come on. You tricky diggy. That did not do what I wanted it to do. Pretty sure that's the motherfucker that's making me mad. Alright. Oh, well, it would help if I turned off branch A. Pretty important to turn off the right branch. No, it's that trunk. Huh, interesting. Let's turn him off. Nobody has questions. Nobody has any questions. What's the coffee taste like at Blur? I don't know. Nothing? You guys already know everything. I'm probably just gonna go after you later. Alright, so this is just a fucking mangled mess of shit though. I don't really like it. Is it PDT? PDT. Are we talking time zone? What? I'm not sure I understand the question. Is it PDT? I'm gonna save real quick because I'm gonna do something crazy. And new seed. Because I'm just not digging it. It's doing shit I don't want it to do. And, you know, this is going to affect everything else, what I brought back to ZBrush and all that stuff, but It's okay. Yeah? Yeah to what? Was a time change in LA. Yes. Yes, we had, I don't know, whatever the hell it's called. Daylight savings or something? Yeah. Don't like you. No, don't do that. Damn it? Why damn it? Do you not have daylight savings? Okay, maybe. What we got? What's this guy? Uh, 3:30 a.m. Oh, for you? Fuck that. Alright, let's look at what this mesh looks like. 3:30? Damn. This guy sucks. What's he doing? It's like an arm on a coffee table or something. What the hell are you doing? Do you have your new name colored in poop? What? I don't even know what that is. Alright. New seed. This is something like every once in a while you just kind of like, you're not digging it, so seed it. Alright. Yeah, nothing's kind of like going down at the ground or anything here. That all seems good. So let's mesh this. Lippy 5. What do you do when you don't like something? How do you get back on track? With GrowFX. That's a good question. You know, because what we do, I often don't like what I'm doing. It's just part of like being critical of what you're doing, and it's important to recognize when something's not working and ditch it and keep going. So how do I get on, like, back on track? Like, I mean, you'll see kind of like right now I'm experiencing something I don't like. I'm not really digging what's going on multiple levels. So generally, like, the first thing I do is I see if I can salvage what I'm working on real quick. Otherwise, it's kind of return to the basics and return to your everything at its most simplest form. So like this, you know, we've added all of these things to it, all of these elements. Excuse me. And what I would say is, you know, get back down to where it was at its simplest base and then start to like work it back up again. Because in here was something that did work, and you kind of want to respect that and try to make that work for yourself, and then continue going on top of that, if that all makes sense. But definitely, you know, that's one of the things I like about GrowFX is its non-destructive nature. That I mean, sometimes like you do something and it's just not working, but I can kind of continue to add up on top, and it's not going to be the end of the world. And I can kind of go through and see like what's working and what's not, and what I'm digging and what I'm not. But yeah, I mean, a lot of my time is spent not liking something. I think that, you know, as artists, we don't like most of what we do. I mean, and really, once it comes time to like show a shot or something like that, I never like, I don't know, I never like anything that I've done. By the end of it, I don't really care to look at it or show it or anything like that. We try our damnedest though while we're working on it. But I guess I'm fairly critical of my stuff. Go GrowFX. Have others look at your work and critique it can be super constructive too. Yeah, for sure. You know, and a lot of people, you don't want to hear the bad, and it's important to get constructive criticism from people that are going to be constructive, and not just try to like shit all over your stuff. Just don't have pessimists like myself. Yes, don't let Jerry look at your work. He will tell you it looks like crap. Because, but that's, you know, that is our problem, is we're always going to crap all over our stuff, and we all have kind of a hard time with it. But yeah, it's important to let other people look at it. Other people other than your mom or dad or whoever, sister that really loves you. This is like, something in this has really made it pissed off. Come on. Alright. I don't like that. What don't I like? I don't like this shape. This. It's like a... I'm not gonna say what that's like. There's a little bit of self-loathing involved. Yeah, but it's not, I don't know, that's not constructive. I guess the power of the... yeah, it's not self-loathing though. How to describe it? That's not constructive, I think, like, is the best thing I can say. The self-loathing, it's not... It's getting to the point where you can see your own flaws in your stuff, and be your own best critic, because that's a lot of people, you know, when they're putting stuff together, they can't see, you know, the forest for the trees, as it were, and you really want to be able to like see what's working and what's not working, and that is, you know, what makes a great artist and a great art director and all these things, all the things that we all kind of aspire to be. So, you know, isolating these things when it's like, yes, this is working, this isn't working, and immediately eradicating, that's really important. A lot of people, you know, I know I've talked about it a lot here. It's like, not getting caught up and hung up on the work that you're doing because you spent all this time on it. It's really important to just cut it down and not be attached. And it's not that it's a self-loathing. It's more just you learn to have a detachment from your own work, from your own efforts, because we spend a lot of time to get to the point that we get to, and it becomes really important to us, what the time that we've put in. Yeah, not be precious. Yeah, shit, man. Whose quote is that? Not to say that it's anybody's quote, but what's his face? David Lesperance says it in his tutorials all the time. Yeah, don't let it be precious. Yes, that's so true. Don't let your love of the time that you've put into it blind the quality of the work that you've actually done. That it's really hard, but it's so important. Probably the single most important skill as an artist that you can have, outside of like, I know that well, not outside of that, whatever software package you use or whatever, all of that is totally superficial. Right. So I'm starting to get back to like something that I'm maybe not going to totally fucking hate. But it just takes like a little bit of, you know, stepping through stuff, dialing it back. Yeah, man, of course. And then this guy, I never applied it to all the other branches, and that's okay, I can do that. Anytime. What's that? Predator! Yes! Nobody gets that. Probably. Go GrowFX. Anybody else? Questions? Anything? Got me here. I'm waiting for a mesh to do whatever the hell it's doing. You want to show me something? You got some work? You got whatever? Let me see it. I'm not going to be a dick to you. Okay, that's fucking weird, but we can deal with that. We can fix that. We'll need another root back here. No big deal. I don't know. Kind of liked my original. That's where the problem begins. How much do I want to fix in ZBrush? So this is where it's like some of these guys are doing some shit that I just don't like. So I've got like a couple options here, and I can go totally customized and get exactly what I want. And I might just end up doing that. It's gonna kind of try to show a more like quick way, but sometimes trying to do it quick is not the same as trying to do it right. And when you want something very specific, and GrowFX will give you something extremely specific if you tell it what you want. So I don't know. I'm not really happy with much of any of this at this point. Okay, that works. This is the problem. That works. No, fuck off, Mesh Builder. I think I just need to work these secondary guys. It's not that really it's doing anything wrong per se. This guy's a little fucking wonky though. Let's look at his mesh. Update. Come on. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to all go away. You treat Max like I do. I swear, like a misbehaving boyfriend. Yes. Yeah, if you sat next to me at work too, that's like, I mean, I pretty much treat every app like that. It's like, you motherfucker. There's a lot of swearing. It's a love-hate relationship for sure. Yeah, alright, that's not awful. I don't know what the hell my roots went off and done, but not to get them to come back. Okay, so none of that's like super terrible, so then it's just a matter of like getting the branches to behave again and whatnot. And that can be, well, what is it, 1040 here? That can be a matter of next week. And you can see, like, you're cruising, doing everything, seeming like it's going good, and then something happens and you're like, I don't like that. And this is what we do. This is what we spend our days doing. It's not that like this one plugin or program just like, oh yeah, it suddenly works and everything's hunky-dory. No, this is why there is no you know, one push button thing, because it takes somebody to say like, that looks like crap, and assess and reevaluate. Does Blur use Macs? Yes, we are a Macs house. So I'm going to leave this, and I might end up going back to my older guy and kind of reworking the branches, because there were some things I liked in the base of it, and fortunately I save all of my work, and I do that a lot, where it's like I start working and I work down a path and then bam, like I hit something where that just isn't fucking working, and I go back and I jump to an older version and I change. You know, at this point, like from what you've seen, like this is a day in my life, right? I think I've recorded about 8 hours of work. This is what I get done in maybe a day. Sometimes I get more done. If I were lucky, I'd have the tree kind of branches and shaders. I would have started some stuff on this and some preliminary lighting. That's kind of where I was hoping to get tonight. Unfortunately for me and for you, didn't happen. But this is, you know, this is the reality of what we do. So, fuck you, Max. Are there any other questions? Questions? I'm going to call it a night here. So, anything, it can be not related to this. You know, it can be about what we do at Blur. It can be about, I don't know. I need to learn Max so I can stop being infuriated by Maya's modeling tools. Maya has some good modeling tools, though, I feel like. You know, we've had guys in freelancing that bitched about Max's modeling tools and how superior Maya's were. And, you know, honestly, a lot of the, like, context menus, like the right-click menus in here that you can get, and what the fuck, this modeling toolbar that they just destroyed that used to be good, that was Polyboost. They call it the ribbon now. Where'd that piece of crap go? Oh yeah, there we go. This used to be called Polyboost, and it was awesome. All the hotkeys worked, everything worked. It was really great. Autodesk bought it, and they turned it into what is now known as the ribbon, and they've got all these little flyouts and opacities, and it's all really cool, except for it's slow as hell, and we all complain about it. We're all really frustrated by it, and there's stuff like that in Maya where it's way faster. The response is way quicker. Viewport stuff in Maya, way quicker. Max really has the benefits, like the plugins that we have are just way fucking cooler. If for some reason I didn't need like a team of developers to work inside of Maya, I'd be in Maya in a heartbeat. But you know, everybody should just move to Modo. I'm not. Yeah, Modo's got some cool stuff. Again, though, the plugins are really what would keep me from going there. That's really the biggest things. You can't. It's really hard. Not that you can't. It's really hard to compete against like Thinking Particles, VFX, GrowFX, Krakatoa, all the other list. I mean, the list just goes on for the tools that are, you know, built into Max that you just don't. They're just not there yet in some of these other programs. Not to say that they won't be, but they're not there yet. Yeah, it looked really cool, but I haven't tried it yet personally. Yeah, Modo I've looked at and it looks cool. I've played with it in the past. I'm not really like a modeler per se, so it's not that appeal doesn't. I don't have that appeal, but you know, Houdini is really more my like, oh yeah, that's fucking badass, and it's got some really great tools and the type of stuff that I'm more interested in doing. Hence, you know, when I build environments, GrowFX is way more interesting to me than some other tools. And then ZBrush, because it's completely, you know, artistic. It's a totally different side of your brain, and I like kind of working those two things in tandem. All right. So anything else? I can stay on the chat and chat with you guys for a couple of minutes if you want to hang out and you have anything that you would like to ask offline and you don't want to be public to the world. That is the advantage of coming to the stream and hanging out. So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, as I said, you know, please go to Angry Polys on Facebook, follow me, and get updates for when I'm going to stream. I am trying to make the streams more accessible to a larger group of people so that everybody can watch and it's convenient to you. That said, you know, I can't change every time, every day, but I will change some days if there's a time that a large number of people are looking for that I can accommodate. So thank you for watching. I've appreciated your time. I hope you get something out of this. And oh, hold on. Oh, for cinematic modelings, do you guys not worry about poly count? I've always wondered how the poly count is for cinematics versus high poly for baked. Yeah, that's a good question. No, we don't really worry about poly count. Not to say we're not conscious of it, because we're always conscious of our render times and we're always conscious of, you know, optimizing our scenes. But we don't retopologize and all of that stuff. I mean, like, the best thing I can tell you is like what I'm going to do here when this is all said and done and I get, you know, the tree where I want it to be. So I'm going to come in here, and right now I'm just going to Z-remeasure it, and then I'm going to subdivide the shit out of it. And come on, it's going to take a second. Alright, so now we have like nice quads and everything. And then I'm going to come in and divide this guy. I'm at 90,000, 300,000, 1.4, and we're going to go up to 6, just about. Okay, so once I'm here, I'm not going to work at that level to begin with. You know, I'm going to come down to something like 2, and we're going to start, you know, busting stuff up and moving things around. Then eventually I'm going to work up to about 6 million polys, right? Then I'm going to take that and I'll probably bring it down to about level subdivision 3 when I go back out to max. And when I do that, I'm going to decimate it, and it's going to become a triangulated POS. But I'm going to export displacement maps and all this stuff, and that's going to bring back my detail from, you know, subdivision 5 back onto this, and you'll kind of see that workflow. But it's very, I'm not going to, once I'm done, remesh it again and make sure it's quads and do all this crap. I don't have time for that, and we don't have time for that at Blur. We work just really fast. It's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer for an environment, depending on the environment, and you know, they can be fairly complex. So we don't have time for remodeling things. We do instance everything as much as we possibly can. We decimate things as much as we possibly can. We try to work smart and intelligent the best that we can, but it is a very different workflow for our cinematics versus like games and whatnot. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, I'm going to close. If nothing else, I'm going to bid you adieu. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out. I hope you've enjoyed this session. Sorry I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but that's working in production. So Wednesday, I will make sure that that we get further. It's my goal. Into shaders, onto the leaves, all of that stuff. and starting to look at some lighting type things, and then sculpting some more. That's the goal. So thank you very much. I will see you guys soon.